branch of service were you in, and what was your rank?
I was in it, U.S. Army, Spec 4,
Where are you from?
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Second Pennsylvania guy here. Wow. What brought you to North Carolina?
Well, baseball and teaching school. I'm a baseball coach, and it's hard to coach baseball in the snow. So I come down here to Blue Heaven, coach a little baseball, taught at Apex High School, Enloe High School, long time. Retired a couple years ago after 40 years of teaching and coaching. So time to move on.
I believe I remember you from baseball for years ago. I played at Athens Drive. So.
You did?
Yes.
And you played for who?
Well, that was Mazingo.
Oh, Stan.
Yeah.
Stan Mazingo. You didn't play for Dave Ebert?
I did. I played for Coach E 1 year, and then I played for Mazingo 2 years.
And your name is what again?
Jeff Smith. I was a pitcher, a reliever.
Yes, you were. I coached with Dave at Athens.
Yep.
Dave's a real good friend of mine.
Yep.
He's now a principal.
Yeah, in Burlington, right?
East Elements.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't we wait till
They're going upstairs, sir.
Yeah, Dave's a good man.
Okay.
Good man.
Let's go on.
Well, what was? How did you get into the service? Did you volunteer or did you get drafted?
I was drafted, 1966. The summer I graduated college, looking for a teaching job. I found out that teachers were not protected by the draft. So they said, don't sign a contract. We have a contract for you. So I was drafted.
What was that like for you finding out?
It was a tremendous shock because I was married my senior year in college. I was ready to go to teach school and coach, and I got a little time out. So you adjust. My dad was in the service at the time. My brother was in. So your country calls on you. You answer the bell.
So, once you went over to Vietnam, what was that like having to tell your family you were going over? You were married, so.
That was probably the most difficult thing I've ever done, because I thought I was going to be stateside, and so did my wife. Her name is Betty. We've been married 52 years now, and I said, she kept saying, "Where are we going?" We, the operative word, where are we being stationed? And I said, "I'll be home." So finally, I'm home, and my younger brother, who I could kill to this day, looked at me and said, "You're going to Vietnam, aren't you?" That ended that conversation. So I had to tell Betty, of course. Had 12 days. Pack a bag, head to the airport. You do what you got to do.
So, you got to Vietnam. What all did you have to do over there? What was that like?
Well, it was basically, most of the vets will tell you, it was kind of like the NCAA tournament. Survive and advance, day by day. I was in artillery up in the hills, Pleiku, Vietnam, and I was like a fish out of water. I'm a Pittsburgh City kid, and they gave me a green suit and a rifle and said, "Okay, let's go fight communism." And let's go. Don't ask a lot of questions. It was difficult. Very difficult. But I'm very fortunate. I was one of the many that came home and decided to teach Vietnam because of my experience. So we now teach Vietnam all over the country, especially in Wake County schools. Now, were you at Athens when Jim Baum was there? Jim Baum?
That name is very familiar.
He's a veteran teacher there now.
Okay.
He teaches at Vietnam, of course, at Athens Drive.
I graduated almost 25 years ago.
I put it in the schools about 22 years ago
Okay.
in Wake County. We have the course now in over 3,000 schools nationwide. So we're telling our story.
What was your, when you came home, what was that like? You had to readjust from the war, you're back to your wife now. What was that like?
Well, it was I'm not going to say it was hard, it was impossible. Because you really can't share what you went through with someone other than a discussion like we're having. Because they don't know what to ask you. They feel very awkward. A lot of the Vietnam vets felt when they came home, they were disenfranchised. They were like ignored. And there was a great deal of apathy and ignorance. What opened the door up was the wall in Washington, D.C. When that wall was built, it was built to heal a nation. And people then could finally ask legitimate questions that don't upset a vet. You don't ask somebody if you killed anybody. You ask them questions like, what was the food like? What was the weather like? Easy questions. So Betty and I were high school sweethearts. So I've known her forever. And we did well. She listened, my parents listened, but it was very difficult. Not that I was hurting in any way, shape, or form. It was difficult because nobody wanted to hear it. The only person that was interested in your story was a fellow veteran. When you saw them, man, did you open up. I mean, boom, 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 you were talking. Where you from? Where'd you serve? What'd you do? And it was refreshing. Very, very refreshing.
What message would you have for other veterans now, especially Vietnam veterans? Still a lot of them who haven't opened up.
Oh, thousands. When I started teaching Vietnam, one of my concepts was to bring the veterans into the classroom, excuse me, and let them tell their story. And I give them all that advice. I had a seminar, because I was one of the few teachers and veterans. So I said to the vets, it's hard to teach school, but you have a story these kids need to hear. So come on in, I'll be right there with you. We'll take all their questions. And it was so therapeutic. The vets felt so good afterwards. I really think it did more for them than the kids. So my advice would be, tell your story. Share everything with your family, your grandkids, and don't be ashamed of Vietnam. Be proud of your service. Tell people, wear your hat. When someone says, welcome home, say thank you. Enjoy it, because you paid the price.
How does a situation like this, the wall here and the other walls and the other memorials that are available, I'm going to ask this question in a long format since that wheels are going to kill us. All right.
Yep.
We got one more spot.
Okay.
Okay. I think they might be done. How does having the recognition that is out there today, the welcome home has finally started.
It has.
How does that help when you get to come to a general public place like the museum and there's
Sure.
a great event?
Yeah, it is great. The Vietnam experience, I have taught Vietnam so long around the country, at the college level, high school level, that I was always proud of my service. And now that more and more people are interested, asking questions. I've been back to Vietnam 5 times. We've adopted orphanages there. We put a playground in the orphanage. I've taken the veterans back several times. The recognition is long overdue, but it is worth listening to people because they're genuinely interested. What was Nam like? What was it like fighting communism? What were the South Vietnamese like? I mean, really good questions. And you sit down and you say, my God, they're interested. So it's great. It's very great. I'm very happy.